All right, graphic design 1, we're going to learn the rotate tool. And what better thing to create to learn the rotate tool than some pizza? So this is the template that you guys will have available to you on the Google Classroom. When you open the template, you should have this PNG of a pizza as an example. If it doesn't show up, you can also download that PNG from the Google Classroom assignment. And you'll also notice that there are 2 layers. So you're going to have a layer number 1 that is the guidelines. You're going to leave that layer locked so that the guidelines don't move. And you will be working on layer number 2. So first thing we're going to do is make our pizza. So we're not going to trace exactly this pizza. Instead, we're going to make a pizza using that as our inspiration. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And I'm going to start by making a triangle. So remember, with the star tool, if you do up or down on your keyboard, that will make a triangle. And then we're going to make this triangle fit in the red guidelines that are on this circle, right? So with my selection tool, or the V on my keyboard, I am going to resize this so that it fits in between those red lines. I also want this to be facing down instead of up. So I'm just going to right click, transform, reflect horizontally, and say OK. And we're going to make sure that the triangle goes all the way into the middle of our artboard here, which means that we might need to make this whole thing a little bit smaller. So just resize it the best that you can, just like that, right? And now that's going to be like the main body, in big air quotes, of our pizza. Now we're going to do the crust. So in order to get a crust that kind of looks like this, I'm going to use my oval. So I'm going to go with my oval or ellipse tool, and then I'm going to make a couple of ovals here. So remember, in order to duplicate a shape that you already have, you're going to use the Alt on your keyboard and then click and drag that shape while using your selection tool. All right, and then I'm just making a couple of smaller sizes as well, so that way we have some variation. And then now that I have a couple of circles or ovals here, what I'm going to do is select all of the shapes that I have so far. And then after I select everything, I'm going to use the Shape Builder tool to connect all of those ovals here. Might need to zoom in to make sure you get everything. Sweet. So now we've got kind of like an abstract representation of what could be crust. It looks kind of similar to this one, right? And then we are going to add some toppings. So I'm going to show you guys how to make the pepperoni and some olives. If you want to make other toppings in addition to those 2, that's up to you. But let's just start with some circles for pepperoni. And then if you hold Shift while you make your circle, it'll make a perfect circle, which is awesome because all of the pepperonis are probably going to be perfect circles that are the same size. So now that I have one circle, I'm just going to go back to my selection tool and hold Alt to duplicate that circle to multiple portions of my pizza. Just like this. So that's perfect for the pepperoni, but I want to cut off the edges, right? So if I select everything again, then I can go to Shape Builder again, and I'm going to hold Alt to turn that plus sign into a minus sign. And then I'll just delete the parts of my pepperoni that go off the edge of the triangle. So now I've got crust, cheese, and pepperoni, and I'm gonna make some olives. So to make an olive, I'm gonna hold Shift to make a perfect circle. I'm going to duplicate that circle by going to my selection tool and holding Alt and dragging. Then I'm going to put both of those circles exactly on top of each other. And then I'm going to make the second circle smaller by holding Shift and Alt. And you can see in the preview that it'll go from the center. If I don't hold Alt, then it'll go from the side. I want to hold Alt so that it moves in the center. So I've got a big circle, a small circle, and now I'm also going to use the pen tool to make a line that goes down the center. You'll notice that if I hold my pen tool here, that it gives me a guideline that shows me exactly where the center is. And then I'm going to click and then hold Shift and click again. And then to let go of my pen tool, I'm going to hold P. Okay, now that we have our two circles and our line down the middle, we're going to select all of them by clicking and dragging over them. And then we're going to use Shape Builder to click once inside of here, click once inside of here, and then we're going to hold Alt to delete. We're going to delete this inside part and delete the lines that are coming off of the edges. So now if I go to my selection tool, I should get two separate pieces that could look like an olive, not an oval, an olive. So I'm gonna go ahead and make these a little bit smaller and rotate them. If you want to make more toppings than just these, go for it. But I am just gonna show you how to make a couple olives and some pepperonis. So now that we have everything, let's go ahead and make everything the color that it's supposed to be. So we got to make our cheese yellow. We're going to make all of our pepperonis red, but we need to select all of them first. So I'm going to hold Shift and select all of the pepperonis, make them red. We're going to make the crust some type of brown, and we're going to make the olives a dark gray. All right, so now that our pizza is looking more like a pizza, we're going to select everything and then group it together. And with everything selected, we're going to finally use our new tool. So we're going to go to the Rotate tool or press the R on our keyboard. Then we're going to hold Alt, and we're going to look for those three little dots on our little crosshairs. Those three dots mean that we're ready to find the center in order to rotate around. So when I click right now, I'm going to be clicking and the spot that everything will rotate around. So that happens to be where the triangle of my pizza is, because it's also the center of my artboard is where I want things to rotate around. So wherever I click right now while holding Alt, that will be the part that will be rotated. That will be the point at which everything will rotate around. So now we're going to click this preview button to make sure that we can get a preview of what's about to happen. We're also going to change the angle to say 360. And then we're going to do a backslash so that it'll be 360 by 12. We want it to be 12 because there are 12 spaces on our artboard that need to be filled with pizza slices. We're going to be able to share pizza with 11 of our friends. So we're going to do 360 by 12 and then press copy. And when we do that, it copies our pizza around next to it, right? So we had one pizza here, and then it rotated the pizza or copied the pizza into this space here. Now, in order to continue that rotation, in order to get pizza slices that can go all the way around, I'm just going to duplicate that action. So Control D will duplicate the same action that we just made. So you're going to go ahead and press Control D until you get all the way around the circle. Now, if I continue to do Control D, I'm going to make more slices of pizza, and it's just going to look like that it's one big pizza pie. But really, what I just did is I made a whole bunch of extra pizza slices that I did not need. So if that's the case, then I can Control Z and get rid of those. So that way I don't have too many pizza slices. Right, so now I just have the pizza slices that I need to make it look like I have a whole pizza pie. And the thing I need to do in order to save it is I want to turn off my guidelines. So I'm going to go back to layers and I'm going to press this little eyeball to turn off the guidelines. And then when I'm ready to turn it in, I'm going to do File, Export, Export As. I'm going to make sure it says PNG. I'm going to click the Use Artboards button so that I don't get this extra bit over here. I'm going to make sure to put my last name in there, and I'm going to say export. But I need to make sure I'm putting it in the right document, so let's do that. And then I'm going to say export. Two things here. Make sure that your background color says white and that your resolution says high so that it's a good quality image. And then we're going to say okay. And then we're done. But don't forget to save it as a regular Illustrator file as well in case you need to fix anything later. All right, good luck with the Rotate tool.